again, Plaid friends. Welcome back to the www.PlaidAvenger.com, where we just don't want to hear the news. No. We want to understand this international news because we want to understand what's going on in the world so we have a better time in it. Now, the news I'm going to cover today is typically pretty boring shit for most Americans. Nobody cares about labor union strikes in Europe. We kind of look at those things and laugh, especially if they're in France, which this one is. We're like, oh, silly French people. I blow my nose in your general direction. But it's actually quite important strikes that are going down in France. Right now, they're going to have repercussions, not just in France, not just in Europe, but I'm telling you folks, you heard it here first, repercussions which are going to be felt all the way back across the Atlantic to the good old US of A. Let's entitle this Plaidcast, 3 Strikes and You're Out, Sarkozy. Now, maybe I should translate it into the French for my Frenchy friends. A 3 strike and Sarkozy bye-bye. Now, we're talking about Nicolas Sarkozy, President of France. He is a conservative center-right politician who's been in office several years now, and he's been pretty embattered ever since he took office. The French are typically very leftist, left-leaning, very liberal, almost borderline full-on socialism. They embrace lots of benefits for the citizens of France. And Sarkozy, as a center-right conservative guy, really came into office thinking he's going to shake up the system and change it. And he's been trying to, and getting smacked down for his efforts. Now, the strikes, I'm talking about 3 strikes and he's out. Well, he may not be out, but there have been protests and strikes in mass here this summer. Just this month, there was a big strike and protest earlier because the Sarkozy government started deporting Roma folks. These are illegal immigrant, aka gypsies, out of the ghettos and slums of France and deporting them back to Romania. They thought this was going to be a big, bold move to make them look kind of strong on immigration. And in fact, it blew up in their face, and everybody from the left, the right, and the center kind of mocked them and made fun of them for picking on poor gypsy kids. This strike that's going on right now, though, is of much more consequence, bigger picture for France and the world. So what is this strike going on? Well, Tuesday, September 7th, there was a major strike which took over Paris and other parts of France. People protesting, going to the streets, perhaps 1 to 2 million of them, probably closer to 1 million French citizens, and they're protesting the Sarkozy government's move to move the retirement age from 60 to 62. Oh my God! Oh, no wonder the French are furious. Oh, suck de bleu! Could you believe that? How preposterous! 60 to 60. Are you picking up the irony in my voice here? I mean, on our side of the Atlantic, this is kind of a joke. We're like, you retire at age 60? No wonder you guys are going broke. And people are protesting about it? Yes, they're furious about it. Now, why is this going on now? Why is Sarkozy doing it right now? Why are people protesting it right now? Why is this problematic for France right now? France is broke, and I don't mean, we love to make fun of the French. I'm not making fun of them, but their system is broke, and I don't mean broke like broke in. I mean broke like it is going broke. They're getting penniless. The world is in this big economic recession. And actually, I shouldn't even say the world. It's mostly the rich countries of the world who are in a very big economic recession. People are predicting perhaps it's going to be a double dip recession, that it's going to get a little bit better for a little bit and get worse again. This has been striking Europe particularly hard. Yes, it's been hitting the U.S. really hard too, but the U.S. is a ginormous economy with a lot of things going on. It's the European countries which have been really in a pinch, and these governments are simply going broke. Now, they're going broker than the American government, although America's got a shit ton of debt, but the European governments are going broker, faster than the American government because their economies aren't as big, for starters, but much more important, the Europeans are really kind of big on socialism, big on socialist system, big on heavy government intervention in terms of giving lots of benefits to their citizens. Like Social Security, or all types, or public education. They have high standards of living in most of these countries. And I'll start picking just on France now. Exceptionally high standards of living, and people live a long time. So when you're retiring at age 60 in France, that means you're on the government payroll for at least another 20 years on average, if not 30 or 40. People live a long time in Europe. great standards of living, great food, great fun. It costs a lot. And if you retire at age 60, that means you got a long time to be sucking off the teat of the government. And that's exactly what's going on in France and other governments in Europe. Now let's kind of complicate this even further. Not only do they have much more social benefits outlaid to the citizens in European countries, France in particular, but at the same time, their populations are stagnant. What? People aren't having babies. For those of you that have watched Boyer's population lecture, you know what I'm talking about already. Demographic transition stage 4 or 5, where people have only 1 or 1.5 kids. That's right, a kid and then a kid from the waist down. And that does not sustain a growing, vibrant population. Why would you need more kids being born into a society? Why is it problematic for Europe that they're not having more kids? Because who becomes the workers in the factories, in the McDonald's, in the Walmarts, working and earning salaries and paying taxes to the government, who therefore then take those taxes to provide all the benefits for its burgeoning, bigger, older, already retired population. Do you see how this is extremely problematic for Europe as a whole, and really in France, because the Frenchies give a lot of stuff to their people for their whole lives, and they retire at 60? What the hell? Now, back to the strike. People are furious about it. Just this 2-year thing. People are furious. Oh, I have worked very hard for 40 years. I do not want to work anymore. Pay me for the next 40 years. And the shit just ain't flying no more in France. Now, Sarkozy and them said they were going to do this when they came into government, and now that they're actually doing it, everybody thinks it's kind of a good idea because they're going broke. But now that it's come time to actually pull the teeth and take the bitter medicine, nobody wants to do it. Everybody wants to fight tooth and nail for their benefits to the bitter end. Good luck, Frenchies. Good luck, Nicolas Sarkozy. The end don't look like it's near anytime soon in this fight. They have promised to go back to the streets again on September 25th for a bigger, huger strike to stop this raising of the retirement age. Now, why am I suggesting this is bigger than just a French thing? Because there's a theme going on that Sarkozy kind of exemplifies for Europe. And that is, there is a move towards the conservative right all across Europe. Most of the major heads of the major governments of Europe are now center-right conservative. And I'm thinking of Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, and now David Cameron, Prime Minister of the UK. All of this signifies kind of a big move to center-right conservative all across Europe. And on top of that, the other theme to know is the catchphrase of this year for Europe, which is austerity. Yeah, you heard it here first. Austerity is what Angela Merkel started talking about, and then Sarkozy picked up on, and now David Cameron is embracing in a big way. What am I talking about? Austerity means that these governments, these conservative, economically, fiscally conservative governments, are saying, we got to save money. We're in a recession. Our economies were stagnant even before the recession. Now they're really stagnant, which means we're not growing as fast as we were. We're not making as much money. People aren't having as many babies. We don't have big future prospects like we used to. Yes, they're still rich, but they're not vibrant like China and India. They're not as huge as the US. So these guys got problems, and austerity seems to be the current solution for most of their ills. Now, austerity just means tightening the belt. They're going to start saving more money. The government budgets are going to get smaller. They're going to start cutting programs, cutting government expenditures, encouraging their citizens to save more for their own futures. And that really, my friends, is the big picture I want you to get here, because that's really different from the liberal, left-leaning, socialist-style governments that have characterized Europe for decades now. They've just been, yeah, times are good. We're all rich. Expand government programs, expand government spendings, give more social benefits because people want social benefits. So give everything for free all the time. And decade after decade after decade, that's piled up. And now they're crunched because their economies are not doing so well with a global recession and everything else I've just talked about. Starting to make a little bit of sense here. So Europe as a whole is kind of stagnant. Their populations are stagnant, if not shrinking, and that's problematic for future growth. And that's why you have this move towards austerity, towards conservative economic philosophy.